Okay, so I'm super excited to share with you guys this app that I've been working on called ADE, the Agentic Development Environment. This is the one and only app that I've seen where I can combine every single AI coding tool and use them across all of my platforms. So that's the desktop app, the mobile app, and even a TUI, which I will show you guys. And everything stays in sync. So you can work on it on the go. You can work on it if you prefer in a terminal with the desktop app, which is my favorite. And it's just really great to get work done. Okay, so this is the desktop app right here. And so you're greeted with this main page here where you can open recent projects that you've been working on or add a new project. So you can either browse the folders on your Mac, create a new project, or even clone straight from GitHub, which is nice. And I'll get into this more later, but you can even connect the remote machines and then work through the desktop app on one machine, but using all the files and everything on a remote machine. So how about we just open, the ADE repo directly inside of ADE. And so you're greeted with this main chat window here. So one thing I'd like to tell people that are using this, how to think about this app, is that this is like Cursor, but you can use any single provider that you already pay for. You can use all your existing subscriptions, whether that's Claude Code, Codex, Gemini, whatever. You can use your own API keys through open code. You can use local models, anything. So it's like Cursor, but you can use all of your existing subs, and there's some more cooler features built on top. You can even use Cursor, so you can use the composer models and everything. So how you set up all your AI connections in settings, you can see all the different AI connections you can set up. All your local models and stuff are here. So you can see I have Claude, Codex, and Cursor set up. There's even Factory. I don't really use that. Okay, so this is the main chat page, and over here you can select whatever model you want to use. So you can see these are some of my recent models. I've been using a lot of GPT 5.5. So you select the model, you can choose your reasoning levels, you can toggle fast on or off, you can choose the permission mode, all your basic stuff with chats. And now here's the thing that makes ADE stand out, is that you do all your work in what are called lanes. And a lane is literally just a Git work tree. So I'm gonna go over here to the lanes tab. The primary lane here, this is the main work tree or the main repo, and all of these other tabs are different lanes. So this app sort of comes from my ideal way of working, which is that for every single new feature, I will spin up a new work tree. So a couple ways to make new lanes, aka work trees. You could just tell the agent to do it. So ADE comes bundled with an ADE CLI tool, which has every single action you'll see in this desktop app as a CLI command that an agent could invoke. Or you could just go into the UI, and then there's options. You could import existing work trees that you already have or create new ones. And then, this looks like a lot, but it's pretty simple. Do you want to make the new work tree based on your primary branch on remote or local? Do you want to take an existing branch on remote and then turn that into a local lane? Or do you want to create a child lane, which sort of comes in when you start doing stuff like stacked PRs, which you can also do in this app. And then here's a cool thing, you can also connect it to a linear issue. So this opens up a little linear pane with all of your linear issues for the specific repo you're working on. And then you can click an issue, connect it to an issue. And what this does is that it has full context of that issue. So any chats you open in that lane, we'll see the linear issue. And then when you open PRs and stuff, everything stays synced with linear. So you can create new lanes that way. And this lanes view right here is a little nice overview where you can see all your Git actions here on the right. So I base this off of what the GitHub desktop app does. Everything you can do in here. You can see all your different lanes up here. For each lane, you can even change the branch. And then you have this chat window here, which stays in sync with these chat windows over here. So it's just the same thing, just this view, you can see everything at once. And over here, you can do the same. And I'll show you how. So back in the work tab, this is how I get work done inside of ADE. So let's say I have something simple I want to do, like scan the code base with parallel agents and get me a high-level overview of the architecture. Okay, I misspelled it, but it'll be able to do it. So what I can do is I can pick an existing lane to run the chat in, or I can do auto create lane, which will automatically create a lane for this new chat. And then I can select my model here. For the sake of this demo, we'll just do something simple like 5.5 on medium, full access. And now here's the coolest thing, right? And I haven't really seen this with other apps, is I can switch between chat or CLI. So if I do it in chat, it's gonna open it in ADE chat. And if I do it in CLI, it's gonna open Codex CLI. So I'm gonna launch it with auto create lane in the chat. And you'll see it's gonna create the lane. And then here we go. This is it's made a new work tree, right? AKA a lane. Right here we have our chat window, which you can see looks very, very nice. And on the right here, you can see all the sub agents that this chat is using. So you can click on them. You can see the transcript for these chats as well. And then I can go back to the main thread here. And then there's other options such as artifacts. If the agent captures any proof for artifacts, it'll show up here. And then you can even deal with PR stuff from right over here in this little window over here, and you can hide all of this if you want. And then I'm gonna show you guys the exact same prompt, right? So exact same prompt. I'm not gonna send this in a new lane though, right? I wanna send it in this same lane here. So I'm gonna select scan code base, parallel agents get, whatever, the lane that was just made. I'm gonna click on CLI, and then you guys will see what happens so this is the exact same model, exact same prompt in the exact same work tree, right? So I'm going to click send, and you'll see it immediately spins up Codex CLI in the same work tree with the prompt and everything. So you'll see it start running right here. You'll see I'll scan the repo structure first, whatever. So now I have these two chats here. And by the way, you can also split screen everything. So I'm just going to drag this. Oh, that's the wrong one. I'm going to drag this right here. And we have this nice little view. I'm going to zoom out a little bit of both of our chats. You can bring in any other chat from any other work tree or anything. So I can put that right there. And I have this nice little view here. I'll take this one out for now. Over here, I have both of these chats running. And I can, on the fly, for example, I prefer using, I'm a big fan of Claude Code and the UI that they have natively. And even though you can use chat, so I'll show you that, guys. So Opus on Medium, right? I'll just say test message just for the sake of this demo. And we'll do it in the same lane, that's fine. Right, so I have the same thing using the Claude Agent SDK. Ooh, looks like I'm logged out. Okay, so I was logged out, but it should work now. By the way, if you hit this little button here, you can bring up a little terminal pane here, and you can see that also shows up underneath the chat over here. I personally think this UI is excellent. It just keeps everything in track, right? Your terminal shells are right here underneath the chat. So you can see the output here, and then if I ran this exact same thing in Claude Code, right, I would just click CLI at the top, send my message, and you'll see Claude Code spins up. Super fast and everything is super efficient. I personally am a fan of Claude Code, so I use Claude Code, but if I'm working with Codex, which I often do as well, I will use the native ADE chat for Codex because it works exactly like I'm using Codex CLI. I'll also show you guys Composer. Composer is a great model to get work done really cheaply and quickly. Once again, I'll just do the same thing, test message. And since I sent it in chat, it's going to open it in this chat view. If I did CLI, it would use cursor CLI. So you can see I'm using Composer 2.5 here now. And this is really cool. You know, I can put all my things together in here, see all my different chats here. So now let's go back to this one. So I'm going to close this sidebar here so we have more room. And then I'm going to show you guys this side tab. So here are the different options that you have inside of a chat. So this is like a get actions sort of tab. And this is very similar to the view you get over here, but this is very zoomed in on just this one chat. And these different tabs relate to the lane that this chat is running in. So all your get actions are here, right? All your files are here. There's a whole file explorer in here. Just like VS Code, it even renders images, everything, even videos. So you can preview, see the source, whatever. It's a whole file system explorer in here. iOS Sim, which is really cool. You can launch iOS apps and then edit them directly in here with the inspect tool. So this kind of works closer to the browser. And so I can click on any single element. So if I click on this right here, it'll add a screenshot of it and context for the agent as well. And then I can just type like, hey, can you replace this? For example, if I was editing like a local server or something, if I had my project running on localhost or something, I could pull it up here and inspect the different things and then edit it as I need in real time. It kind of works just like Cursor's browser, which has this exact same system. You can screenshot, whatever. You guys get the idea. So that's the browser here. The app control tab here lets you run Electron apps. You can do the exact same thing that you can do with the browser. You can inspect different elements inside the Electron tab. iOS Sim, like I said, run the iOS simulator in here. You can use the preview tab, which runs in the background Xcode previews. So you need to have Xcode running for that. You can see it just pulled up Xcode there. If I click launch here, I'll click this and you guys can see what happens here. So this will take a sec. It's going to boot the whole simulator and everything. We can come back to this. Oh, there's a simulator. Okay, and then some other minor stuff that you know we have done here. The context usage, you can attach files. Nothing new there. Issue context. This is you can attach a linear issue or a GitHub issue. This is kind of like attaching an issue to a lane. But now if I do this, you can see the linear issue is attached here. The next prompt I send to the agent, its turn will have full context injected for this linear issue. And I think this is the perfect time to pivot to the mobile app for ADE, which connects everything and makes this super useful. So we have the simulator running right here. If I click inspect, I can see all the elements in here. This is so cool, but you can just select any single thing here, click it, it gets added to the chat as context, just like it was working with the browser. And then I can remove all this stuff. I can select any element, go back to control, and then I can control the app. You can see it's the exact same thing here. So you can attach machines, right? So any single machine that you have ADE installed on, you can switch between them on the fly. So this right now is on my Mac Studio. So I'm going to click my Mac Studio, and you set up a pairing code because you don't want other people to be connecting to your machine. For now, I think mine is just something simple. Connect, and then there you go, it's connected. So now that we're connected, you can see the exact same projects that I had pulled up on the desktop app are now present here. So I will pull up the ADE project again, and you can see all of our chats are here too. I mean, this is really cool. Okay, so Let's go to this exact same lane. Let's go to this exact same chat on the mobile app. So this chat, right, you can see is called Parallel Codebase Architecture Scan with Codex. It's right here. So I'm gonna click it. Let me send a message in here like, hey, this is from the mobile app. Are you getting this? And then I'll hit the send button. You can see it immediately showed up over here. I mean, how cool is this, right? So I'll be doing a more in-depth video with all the stuff you can do with the mobile app. There's a lot there. I'd make this video too long if I put it all together. So I'm just gonna stop this and then focus on the desktop app for now because there's a lot of more stuff in here too. But yeah, just a quick little glimpse on the syncing stuff that you can do. So I'm gonna go back to here. So that's the work tab. You can see all my different chats here. Lanes tab, already touched on it. So if you see this little PR badge here, it says that it's merged, and if I click this, it'll take me to the PR in the PRs tab and inside of ADE. So you can see this is the full thread of the PR, and at the bottom, it looks like it was merged and closed. If I click this GitHub button too, I can see the exact same PR in my browser. You can see it's the exact same thing. And so I can go back here, and then I can also just delete the lane. You can see all these different options here. If I click manage lane, I can just delete the work tree or the lane entirely. So you can see with this option, I'm removing the work tree from my computer. I'm deleting the local branch and also the remote branch. Let's do that. So you'll see it's deleting, and then it's gone. So that's that tab. And then the files tab here, this is a full-on file explorer. You can edit your files. It's just like using the file explorer instead of any other IDE like VS Code, Zed, whatever. I can edit it, work with, do whatever I want to do. You can open multiple files. And then right here, you can change between all of the lanes. So if I wanted to work in primary to enable editing, you can see all my different things here. PRs tab, kind of touched on it, but every single PR is going to be linked here, and you can view all of your PRs here. You can just do it all from here, see all your CI checks and everything. And then this workflows tab here, this is where you can start doing some cool stuff with PRs. So the first thing you'll notice is a rebase/merge tab. So every single lane has a parent reference branch, and for example, if I make a work tree based off of another branch, anytime that branch gets updated, you automatically get notified inside of the app that, hey, the parent has been updated. Do you want to rebase or merge into your child branch? And so this is where all that stuff shows up. So you can see, for example, this lane that I have right here, it's behind by main by 26 commits, and you have some option here. I could rebase it with AI, which launches a new chat in the work tab to automatically rebase for you, or it'll just automatically do it now. I have all these other options here, and so this shows up here automatically, and you get a little notification over here too, which I had earlier before I dismissed them. And you can also create QPRs. What QPRs are is you can create a chain of, for example, if I go here in a queue workflow, I can create a chain of like these three, and I want them to merge in this order. So it'll merge the first one, once it's merged, I'll merge the second one. Once it's all clean, I'll merge the third one in that order. And I'll have these options to configure it here. And then the integration workflow it'll take, for example, if I choose these 4 lanes, it'll integrate all 4 into one lane and then merge that one lane into main. By the way, the queue workflows thing is basically the exact same thing as stacked PRs if in Graphite or something. They work the exact same way. And then the run tab, you can create different commands, run them. For example, this one runs the desktop app. You can see you can just configure it as you need over here, and then clicking run will just run whatever command you have set up. The review tab, this is really cool. So I took inspiration from tools such as greptile or Code Rabbit. And so if you go to launch new review here, there's all these sort of configurable options. There's honestly a lot. The lane you want to review, the different types of review modes. So if you want to, review the lane against main, you want to review certain commits, uncommitted changes, all this sort of stuff. You can choose the model to run it with. But as soon as you do, and I'll show you an example here, it runs a very in-depth with multiple parallel agents. So it's definitely not cheap. You see this one, it ran 5 reviewers. And then you can even tie this into your PR. So you could set up a workflow where on every single PR you open with an ADE, it'll automatically trigger a review and then post the comments to the PR. So it kind of just acts just like as if you're using greptile or any other coding review tool. So this is a dupe of Code Rabbit or greptile, whatever, but using your own models that you already pay for. And then over here we have the CTO, the Chief Technical Officer for your project. And the idea for this kind of comes from like OpenClaw or Hermes agent. This is just a agent that has full context of your project. The real benefit with this comes with the mobile app. There's a whole CTO tab. On your phone, maybe you don't want to be prompting new lanes, prompting new agents all the time, but you can just tell this one agent that has full context of everything you're doing in your project to do what you want it to do. So you can see I've asked it, who are you and what can you do for me? I'm the CTO, and then it can do everything inside of this desktop app. So right now I was on Composer because it's cheap. I can switch this to Opus. We'll put it on extra high, and I'll show you guys an example. Make a new lane called test lane and spawn an agent using Opus 4.8 on medium. Use bypass permissions no fast mode, prompt it, and then we'll say, hi, what model are you? And I'll send this. So you can see it's running now, and while that runs, we'll move on real quick. So right here, we have the graph, which is just a nice little view of all the different lanes that you have and every single agent that is running inside of each lane. When PRs are open, these lines right here show PR status and everything. So it's very nice to get a quick, simple overview of everything that is going on inside of your project right now. If I go back to the CTO, let's see what's going on over here. Great, so it said it's made the chat. Let's go back to work and see. Test lane right here, it's right here. And you can see it just sent the model with the exact permissions that I had asked it to. So that's pretty cool, right? And by the way, you could do this from any single chat. I'll just copy this exact message and I can put it in here and I'll say test lane 2 and it'll do the exact same thing. And so you can see right here, it just did the exact same thing. So there's nothing about the CTO that makes it unique in its capabilities of using the desktop app, because any single agent, even agents outside of the desktop app, if you ran Claude code in a normal terminal, if you just pointed it towards ADE CLI and where that CLI binary lives, it can do anything inside of ADE. The thing that makes the CTO really cool is the way its memory system is set up is I've basically copied how Claude works. Right? It compresses memory over time and picks the best things to keep. Finally, I'll just move on to the history tab. I kind of modeled this off of Git Kraken. You just have full history of every single thing done inside the project. You can sort by different things over here and see all the different logs and events. So this is everything in the desktop app. I can quickly hit settings. You can mess with all your settings in here, your appearances. Everything is super customizable. You can even make lane templates so that, for example, your new work tree, you want certain files copied over. If you want an environment file that, if it's in your Git ignore, a new Git work tree won't take that over to the new work tree or the lane. You could create a template that copies the environment file into any new lane you create. And then you have these background jobs here. These are different things that a super quick call to a small tiny model is best for. For example, for commit messages, if I don't want to type one out myself, I can just configure a really small model to do it for me. So this is a quick overview of everything you can do inside of one project. And like I said earlier, you can open up multiple projects. So if I open this project up here, this one up here, and I can quickly tab between them, I can even window this one out. And then now I have it in its own window here. I'll close that. Right here, you can see your usage limits. If you go here, you can connect your linear workspace. So you can see I have this workspace connected here. If I go to this linear button here at the top now, see all my linear issues. Here's what's really cool, right? Let's say I want to do these 3. I can do this option right here, which will launch with a pre-selected prompt I can configure. It will launch 3 new agents in 3 new lanes with that linear issue connected, or I can just choose to just create 3 new lanes for it. So I use this a lot because I use linear to track all of my work across all my projects. So yeah, this is a nice little overview of everything you can do in the desktop app. I think the main benefit comes from the syncing and everything between the phone and the TUI, which now I'm going to hit on. So let's quickly go to this Z window opened up here with the terminal. And so how this works is you simply just run ADE code and the project that you're inside of. So right now I'm inside of the ADE project. And so you can see right here, this is a 1-to-1 copy. So here I'll show up the lane. So you can see I have all these lanes here and it's going to be the exact same ones over here. And let's go to our test lane. You can see the chat here exactly as it showed up in the desktop app. How cool is that, right? And that's another thing. Look, I can click around in here and use it with my mouse, or I can use the arrow keys if I wanted to. But let's go to this chat right here. Hey there, this message is from the TUI ADE code. You can see it shows up right here. And then if I went to my desktop app, right there. If I wanted to make a new chat, I can click on new chat right here. I have all my model selection stuff here, so I'll do a GPT 5.5. We can do medium, full auto, fast mode off, confirm, and then hi, what's the time? And then it'll create a new chat. You can see that it's working, and then if I'll stay here just so you can see what it looks like. There you go. There's a time and the date. And then if I went here, what lane did I make this in? The test lane. Oh, it's right here. Yep. There we go. The exact same chat, and everything syncs. And here's what's really cool as well. If I do Control G, I can click another chat here and split the tab. So now I have this nice little split view, and I can even go even crazier. I can bring in more of them if I want. Control G, I'll bring in another one. And then look, it's even Claude code in here. I mean, how crazy is that? I have Claude code in here because this Claude code session was made, which one is this? Scan code base parallel, test message. So if I go here, scan code base parallel, test message. So this is this session right here. Let me take this one out. This session right here, right? And so here, watch what happens if I go back here and I can zoom this one out just so it's easier to look at by quickly hitting Control T. Now I'm inside of this Claude code session here. I can say hi, send that, And then if I go back here, you can see the message popped up here too, and I could send something from here if I want. Hi, how are you? What model are you? You can see it responded. If I go back here, there you go. I can leave Claude Code by hitting Control T, and then I'm back to this view here. Everything that I just showed you in the desktop app, you can do directly from your TUI. And then if I hit Control O and P, I can close these little side panels. So this right panel is chat info. If I have a lane selected, I get lane info here. All the different Git actions I can do from here as well. If I go to a chat, I can close all these, get a more fuller view. What model are you? So I have a nice little interface here. And at the top, I see more info about the current chat and the lane that I'm working in. And everything syncs. So if I go back to test lane, which one was this? This one? Yeah, there we go. So, you can already use Codex desktop app and then Codex CLI. Those Codex app server backed sessions stay in sync, but doing that in the same place where your Claude sessions, your Droid sessions, your OpenCode sessions, your cursor sessions, everything just stays in sync. And that's really cool. This is a quick overview of the ADE desktop app and ADE code. And I'm going to be making a more in-depth video on the remote connection stuff, even including the mobile app, because there's just a lot there to show that I don't want to bloat this video too much. But the mobile app stuff is genuinely so cool because from anywhere you can use the mobile app to control all of your chats, all of your lanes, all of your PRs, all your Git actions, even the CTO. There's even a full file explorer. And so everything that I just showed you in the desktop app, you can do from your phone. And there isn't another app where that lets you do all of this in one spot. There's sort of like disjointed options. You can use the Claude app, or now Codex has that through the ChatGPT app. You can control your Codex desktop app. But there's all these different apps you have to manage. There isn't proper Git management, proper worktree management, which you can now do with the ADE mobile app. So to wrap this video, sort of just quickly wanted to show, this is the main repo. By the way, I don't know if I said this, but everything is fully open source and public. If you find issues, go ahead and open PRs. I would greatly appreciate that. But you can see I have details on how everything works here, dev details if you're a developer that wanted to open a PR. I have this nice little website with more details as well, and the documentation site, which has full in-depth documentation on everything I talked about and more, because I missed a lot. I encourage you guys to go check it out. I think it's really great. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope this is something useful for you guys. And I didn't make this so that I could make money off of it, or with the goal of having other people use this. When I was managing multiple projects, I already found that I was doing this sort of workflow where I was immediately spinning up multiple work trees and working in parallel. And so I just wanted a nice little interface to do all of this very quickly, and I wanted it in a way that made sense to me. And so that's why I've made this. So this is why I've made all this stuff, and I think it's genuinely great, and I use it every day for all my work. So hopefully you guys find it useful as well. Thanks for watching.